Time 2025, and welcome to Wendy in Tech. And it is your host, Wendy, and I want to go into you guys knowing a little bit about who Wendy is. So let's get started. Well, my name is Wendy Albert, and I am a cybersecurity professional. I started my journey at University of Mary Hardin Baylor, where I received my bachelor's in computer science in 2018, and I received my master's from the greatest university on the planet at North Carolina State University. Can I get an Aggie Pride? And then from there, I decided to further my education a little bit more and take my journey on to get my doctoral degree. I'm now a doctoral candidate, receiving my doctoral degree in cybersecurity and information assurance. So, really excited about that. I'm excited to talk with you guys today and let you guys get a little bit more about who I am. So, let's get into the real topic. Now, who is Wendy? Well, I'm glad you asked. So, let's start diving in about who Wendy is and let's go into my personal journey to where I got to where I am today. Well, my journey started at the age of 14, and I never knew at the age of 14 my life would change so much. I remember growing up, I played video games all the time. I was always interested in computer programming, video games, Mortal Kombat, Midnight Club, Kingdom Hearts, the whole 9 yards, playing these video games, and I was always interested in how they were done and get programmed. And that sparked my interest into a lot. When I was 14 years old, I remember going on a family cruise to Mexico. We got home on August 15th. It's my grandmother's birthday, and we're going out to take my grandmother out to eat for her birthday to Sartons. We're all getting dressed ready to take her out to eat. And I remember me and my sister were dressed, and my mother hadn't said nothing in a couple hours. So I remember walking from my bedroom to her room and opening the door, and I literally found my mother unconscious, not breathing, nothing was going on. I ran to the room to get my sister, let her know what was going on. And at that time, we both called 911. We called my father, who was serving at Houston, Texas for the United States Army. And we called my uncle, who stayed right around the corner from us. We identified that she was able to get up and become conscious. And when she gained her consciousness again, they told us that she was being life flighted to Houston, Texas. At the time my dad was in Houston, Texas, he drove 45 minutes from Houston to Beaumont to get to the hospital in Beaumont and to see what was going on with my mother. I kid you not, she was just sitting in the waiting room. And when my daddy came in, he really took over the scene. He said, "I'm not serving this country for my wife to be sitting in this front living room. This front office and not seeing somebody." She had been sitting in the front room of the hospital for about an hour and a half, and no one had seen her or knew what was going on. At the time, she had blood coming from her ears. She was already unconscious, and they were trying to figure out what had happened. A lot of doctors thought she had overdosed or she was on some type of drugs, but that was not the case. And as soon as he came in and he started directing the orders, people were just flying out the sky to run and see what was going on with her. We found out that the doctors in Beaumont could not do anything to help her, so she was then life flighted to Houston, Texas, where it was identified that my mother suffered from a ruptured brain aneurysm. She had a very rare condition, and she had to have surgery done that night. My father was forced then to make a decision on what to do next because she had to go into surgery at that moment, at that time, and research was not as advanced as it is today. So Dr. Shin gave my father an option to where he could sign on a research study for her, or he could not. So my dad took a gamble. He signed on the research study for her, and Dr. Shin performed the surgery that he saw fit for her to save her life. My mother is now alive today thanks to the doctors of Moria Herman, Dr. Chin, and also my father for taking initiative and stepping up and showing that he served this country. His wife had every right to be, seen just like another patient. So when that situation happened, that kind of took a toll on me a lot. I was just starting my freshman year of high school, and I wasn't feeling like the other children. Like, a lot of my friends, they had, their mothers and fathers to go home to. And for me, it was always different, right? My dad served in the Army my whole life. So when I would go home, I always had my mother, or then I'll have my dad come home every so often from different tours he's done, whether it was Iraq, Iran, or Korea. And then I'll finally have time with both parents. So it was never the same for other people. But I still had a very good home I was raised in at the same time. So it's my freshman year, and I'm just like trying to find ways to cope with the situation I was going through. And I found a lot of coping mechanisms for me in video games. I love video games. I love playing them. I love everything about them, and that's where I was kind of having my opportunity to express myself, as well as I was an athlete. So I used to run track. I played basketball. I did those things as well to keep myself busy and keep my mind off certain things that I was experiencing with my mom's illness. But she did get better. My life continued to get better, and we're just going to go ahead and fast forward to my senior year of high school. So it's my senior year, and I'm killing it. Like, I'm playing basketball, I'm killing it. I'm having a good time. I'm still playing, video games at the age of 17, and I'm still interested in computer programming. I'm just like, this is what I want to do. I want to go to school for this. I'm so interested. Like, I'm intrigued. Um, at the time, my dad was being moved to DC for an assignment at the Pentagon that he was going to have for like the next 5 to 7 years. And my parents were trying to persuade me to go to college near them so that they can still have someone near, one of their children, at least close to them in home. So I decided to take their advice and I went to visit Liberty University. And I'm just like, okay, I'll visit the campus and I'll talk to the basketball coach. Maybe I want to try out for the team and maybe want to take it further in my academic and athletic career. And then I had a good time working out with them. They were great. I mean, I love that university at the time. It was like one of my favorite campuses to visit. It's so big. They had their own entire like snow hill when it snowed for kids to like to ride, and snow tubing and sled. It was really cool. And then also too, they introduced something new to me. I had never knew what cybersecurity was. Like, so I was on campus. I was just, walking around like this short little girl that's 5'3" with a big old backpack, like touring the school, and they had told me about cybersecurity, and I was just like, what is this? I'm originally from Beaumont, Texas. The only thing we knew about growing up was oil, gas, becoming a registered nurse, or working at the prison. I didn't know anything about cybersecurity, cryptography, computer science, none of it. So after that tour I had that weekend at the university, I went back home and I was able to dig deeper into what was going on with like cybersecurity and cryptography. So I always thought like it was kind of interesting, but my heart was still set on like becoming a game programmer. I was like, I'm going to make the women's first WNBA game for 2K. Like, I'm going to dedicate my time when finish my degree to doing that. And so I get to another school I was visiting, which is called University of Mary Hardin Baylor. It's a private institution in Belton, Texas. And one of my friends told me about this school, like down a grapevine, and I was like, okay, I'll come visit it. So I went to visit the school. And I was like, oh, wow, this is like a nice campus. Like, it wasn't as big as Liberty, but it was very nice. It was very upscale. And like, they had a really good, intimate classroom setting. So a lot of the professors were able to be in your face more so often than having a bigger crowd of people where you're like not being one on one with the professor, like, not getting the type of attention you would probably need starting off with school. So I just had a decision to make, and I decided to stay in Texas. And when I decided to stay, I was like, I'm going to Mary Hardin Baylor, and I'm going to study computer science. So it's now my freshman semester, my very first semester there. My parents have dropped me off. We decorated my dorm room. We've all cried. We shared our tears, and they leave me and go to Virginia. So I'm in Texas, and I'm out here by myself. But it's okay because my family, my whole entire family is from Texas, so I wasn't really too concerned. But I was in Belton, Texas by myself, with not any relatives that were near close by. And then I had my first day of class. I'm so excited. I signed my papers over. I'm like, oh yes, I'm gonna study computer science, and I'm gonna focus on the gaming program. And they're like, oh, I'm so sorry. We no longer have that curriculum here. We're not doing gaming anymore. We only have network security, web development, and computer security. See, at the time they were calling cybersecurity computer security, so I was kind of confused. I was just like, dang, like I really wanted to do gaming. Like, what am I supposed to do? So I just said, you know what? You guys can just sign me up for computer security. I'll take that as my concentration. It's totally fine. So I started my journey off there. I was just so headstrong. I was so focused. I was determined. So I just knew like, okay, well, it's my first semester. I'm going to do great. I'm super excited. I get in class and I have introduction to Java. And that class ran me through the ringer because Java is still to this day the hardest language that I studied, and I don't ever recommend it to people. It's just very hard for me. But I understand language in and out now, but I was doing a lot of different things within my college journey. So during my time at Mary Hardin Baylor, I did computer science. I was studying Java, Linux, Bash scripting. I also worked with discrete structures. I worked with binary numbers, and then also got into cryptography, and I started to fall in love with cybersecurity. Fast forward, it's 2018, and Wendy's graduating. My family did not think I was going to graduate college this soon, but I did. I finished my degree in 3 years, and I just feel like this is a huge accomplishment for me. I remember when I first got started, I was having a rocky start, and the way the academic setup was at Mary Hardin Baylor, it was very strict. So your GPA can drop tremendously if you don't pass your courses. So like a lot of the times, the courses you had that were like main courses, you had to really make an A or B to survive your GPA to survive on that campus. After my first semester, I really locked in. I focused strictly on my studies, academic studies, and strong personal friendships and relationships. And I did go to a Christian university, so we did have Bible study, we had chapel, and I was still making sure I had a good relationship with Christ at the same time as studying and having my studies. So that was a good thing for me. It's 2018 though, and I'm graduating. My family's super excited, and it's the day I'm walking across the stage, and I'm just like, yeah, you guys, I'm moving to Virginia. I'm going to DC, and I'm about to be a big name in DC. Like, I'm about to make so much money. They're going to be known by me in the papers, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm just talking all this hot mess. And then I finally get to Virginia, and I'm super duper humbled. Nobody was checking for me. Nobody was looking for my resume. No one was talking about me. I was not the talk of the town. You were not who you thought you were. And it was okay because we had to get humbled to get to where we're going to be. So I went through a lot of post-grad depression after my bachelor's degree because I just feel like I went through all this whole entire process of getting this degree. Like, I'm supposed to be rewarded a job immediately after. Why is this not happening? I had internships too. I had great connections, and I was just not understanding why can't I get a full-time job here. So I had my dad telling me like, "Oh, you should just join the United States Army," and I was just like, personally, I'm not doing it. Like, I feel like that was already rough for me growing up. Having my father gone all the time. I would never want to have my own household where I'm gone all the time from, my future kids and my future husband. So I was just like, I'm not doing this. I know there's a different path for me. I'm not going to take this path. I'm going to do what I know is going to work for me. And I feel like that's a very important lesson for us to do. Like, I think a lot of us tend to do things for other people's satisfaction, and we get misconstrued in the process. I decided in this journey, I was picking my own destination, my own journey, my own pathway to my success, and I really stuck to it. And that came with a lot of discipline, a lot of, challenges and turmoil you have to go through. You have to be really strong to really focus on the path and your purpose. So I'm just like, no, I'm not going to the Army. I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to get a job in cybersecurity. That's what I want. I'm going to work for it. So he decides to give me a contact with Gail, who works with him at the Pentagon. And Gail's a very good mentor of mine till this day. And she was pushing me wholeheartedly to me to get out there and start networking, meeting different people, talking to different companies, making sure I go to different networking events downtown or Northern Virginia, just to put myself out there. So at this time, it's like 2019, getting ready to go into 2020, and I had applied to get into the master's program at North Carolina A&T State University. And I was accepted, and I was going to be starting that fall semester to get my master's in IT and getting a certificate in cybersecurity. I was just super excited. I remember going on campus to see the university, and I really did fall in love with it. I was like, oh yeah, my future kids are going here. Like, this is probably one of the best campuses I've ever seen in my life. It was great. I did do my master's degree online. I didn't really go on campus much during my master's degree because it was during COVID times as well. So it was like 2020, and this is when the whole entire world has shut down, right? Like, everybody's trying to figure out what was going on. It was very much so chaos. I remember gas was like $1.18. Like, people were just trying to get out the car and just drive because they had nothing to do. We didn't know what to do. So at that time, I was really being patient, and I was just waiting because I felt like there was a good outcome to come out to outcome like COVID. I feel like COVID wasn't like a bad thing. I feel like it was getting us out of our regular norm and inviting us into something new. So whenever I noticed we're in COVID, we're in lockdown, I still noticed that people are still posting jobs. So I'm still applying. And I applied for an internship with Base Systems, and I was accepted. So I'm like, okay, bet. Like, let's get this started. This is what I need to get myself on the right track. And that's what I did. So I got into the internship, and I was like a gnat. I was bothering the person who was helping me. I was bothering everybody on the internship to learn everything I could and get information from them that I could use on the regular job. I came in as a cybersecurity analyst intern, and I learned about the whole entire risk management framework, the processes, the different certifications to get. And then also too, I learned about like how to coordinate yourself in meetings and how to also have healthy conversations within the workplace. Right, we're remote, but still, a lot of those meetings are still supposed to be very much so formal, and you should know how to talk inside those rooms, right? So I learned a lot from that internship. And then, still at that point, I was about to graduate my master's. I was like, it's time for me to get on to a full time role. So I had decided, like, oh no, I have to do something else. Like, I need something more. So I found a job that was hiring for a systems engineer at Paraton. I applied, I went through the interview process, and I was granted my very first full time position in Northern Virginia, working for Paraton. Paraton is a really big company. They're a great company. They literally have so many different things. They bought the block now in Virginia. It's insane. So I have great people I work with there. I still talk to them to this day. Like, they're like my extended family. I love them to death. And if you guys listen to this, I love you guys, my Paraton family. Don't forget, we twisting into loom. That's an insider. But after that, I decided, like, okay, I was with Paraton for a while. I still wanted something more. Like, I was still looking for something more in Virginia, you know? So I decided to apply for a job at Booz Allen Hamilton. And I was hired as, a senior cybersecurity engineer tester. And I was testing for systems. When I started that job, I wasn't there that much longer than that long, but I just felt like every time I was getting, like, these certain positions with certain companies, I just felt like it was something that was missing, right? And I was doing good in my career, academically as well as personally, and I just really feel like I had to do more. And I feel like my more was not there in Virginia or DC. Don't get me wrong, it's a great place to be, it's a great place to work, but I just feel like at the time my purpose was me to come back home to Texas and reach back and help those behind me. And I'm just out here looking, like, I remember being in Virginia and DC, like, seeing all the different people, like, networking and, like, elevation and all the, like, Black excellence. I was like, we can literally have this back home. Like, I can see this happening in Texas, in my hometown. Like, we can recreate this in other places. And I was like, my purpose is not supposed to be here. It's supposed to be somewhere else. So I told my parents I'm moving back to moving back to Texas. And they're like, well, my mom was just like, no, you're not going. You're not going. You're making so much money here. You're doing this, blah, blah, blah. Why do you want to go back there? Why do you go back there? And it's like, you're missing the point. We all have something to do on this world, and we all have a purpose to succeed before we leave this earth. I feel like my purpose was not going to be fulfilled until I came back to Texas and do what I'm supposed to do today. So they finally get on board, and Wendy leaves Virginia, comes back to Texas, and I've been here ever since then. And I work really hard on reaching back to get others to where I am. So I created my own business, which is called Honor Cyber Consulting, and I do host consultations for people looking for career changes, modifications, or just trying to get into the cybersecurity career field. I give you real spill advice. I give you pure honesty. It's not any type of think pieces. It's just the truth. I'm a professional. I'm always going to be professional with you, but I also want to be able to still help you in your journey. I provide resume assistance and career coaching, and I do have more services I will be offering in the future. And then I also was able to establish my nonprofit this year, which is Onyx Cyber, and that strictly is focused on me just actively working in the community to bridge the gap between the African American community and tech. I want to focus on Black and brown communities having a role within technology, and I feel like we're sometimes overlooked, or we're not able to be like in certain rooms. I've been in certain rooms where I know a lot of people that are within my type of background that should be there, and it's not fair to see that. So I feel like that's something for us to fight for every day. So I'm always going to make sure that I'm reaching back to help somebody else, and I'm going to continue to do that until I leave this earth. And that's why I came back to Texas, to live through my purpose. So currently, that's what I'm doing. So I have my business, I have my nonprofit, and then I'm also the vice president of the Women in Cybersecurity Houston affiliate. And I advocate for women in technology. So women that are looking to get into the cybersecurity field, that are looking to transition their career into cybersecurity, I'm advocating for you. So if you are interested in that, please reach out to me. Most definitely look into having you guys and seeing your faces in Houston locally. But that's just Wendy in the whole nutshell. And I'm just one person looking to make a change, and I hope you guys support that change. So thank you guys for hearing a little bit about me and who I am and engaging into Wendy and Tech. And I'll see you guys soon.